Hello and welcome back to Meals in Minutes, a place where you can learn how to make quick, easy meals in your Thermomix for any night of the week. This is one of my favorite recipes and it's from the basic cookbook. It's called Tomato Dal and it is amazing. It's so full of flavor, it's vegetarian, and pretty much everything is going to be in your pantry or in your fridge. So let's get started. We start off by milling up some cumin seeds and some brown mustard seeds, or you can use yellow mustard seeds in that as well. So I'm just going to go to my recently cooked, because I actually made this one last night, and we're going to restart this one. Now, here's a little hack that I do with this one, and the first steps of this recipe is to add a carrot, chop it, put it into a bowl, wash the TM bowl, dry it, and then mill these spices. But it's one of those rare occasions when it's actually easier just to do the chopping by hand, and that's what I do. So I skip past this carrot chopping part, and then I go straight to adding in the cumin seeds and the mustard seeds. So popping those in there, that's 2 teaspoons of each. Now, because this is in the basic cookbook, of course, it's also going to be on Cookie Dough. Now, this recipe is in all of the basic cookbooks, so it doesn't really matter what recipe, which Thermomix you have, you can easily find the recipe. But in the PDF attachment to this course, I'll have links and things and references to where you'll find these recipes. Okay, so we've added those in, and what we're going to do is that's going to be milled for 15 seconds. And while that's happening, I'm going to finely dice this carrot and then set that aside. Okay, let's go. Okay, that is done, and I'm almost finished cutting the carrot. It doesn't have to be as finely cut as what the Thermomix might have done, but just little cubes of around about 1/2 centimetre will do. Okay, I'll pop that aside to add later. Now for the next step, we're going to add some garlic and some ginger. But as you'll know, if you've already previously done my pantry and fridge staples online cooking class, that I love making garlic paste and ginger paste and having it frozen into cubes in the fridge in a Ziploc bag. And that's exactly what I've got here. I've got a cube of garlic that's around about the quantity that would be 3 cloves. And I've got a cube of ginger paste that would be around about the quantity that's needed for this recipe. So all I need to do, instead of peeling garlic, peeling ginger, and having it on hand, is I just go to my little frozen stash and use what I need. So I'm just going to pop both of those in there. And then I'm going to add an onion that I've peeled and cut in half. A brown onion is fine. And then I'm going to give that a quick chop, just for a few seconds. And that's done. Now it's telling us to give the sides a bit of a scrape down, and we're going to saute that off. I like to use a bit of a circular motion to get everything off the sides instead of pushing it down like that. Just seems easier to me. And then we're going to add some 30 grams of olive oil. Of course, being an Indian dish, you can also use ghee. Oops, I've added a little bit more oil. Oh well. And we're going to pop in the reserved carrot. This goes in here. Oops, lost a bit. In it goes. Lid on. And then we're going to cook that for 3 minutes. I'll be back soon. Okay, we're back. That's sauteed, and the smell is amazing already, just from the garlic and the ginger and the cumin seeds and the mustard seeds. Next step is we're going to add in some garam masala. Garam masala is another one that I show you how to make in the Pantry and Fridge Staples online class. If you haven't checked out my other classes yet, make sure you go onto the Thinkific site and check out my other courses. And the Pantry and Fridge Staples class is packed full of everyday items you can make yourself in the Thermomix. Garam masala, there's 1 teaspoon of that in there. There's 1 teaspoon of turmeric. You can use fresh turmeric if you've got it, if you have it handy or you're growing it, just maybe 1 piece about that long. And then it's half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of chili powder. I'm actually using chili flakes here. They're actually a little bit milder, and I'm using around about half to 3/4 of a teaspoon because I don't really want a lot of heat because I'm feeding a family. So those are all going in. I'll skip the next few steps. And then we'll pop the lid back on. And we're going to saute that on 120 degrees for another 3 minutes. Okay, that's finished. And the next step is to add 400 grams of water. A little bit more, a little bit more. A little bit more. Okay, 400 grams of water, and then 400 grams of coconut milk or coconut cream. I like the cream, I like it a little bit richer. Again, in my Pantry and Fridge Staples class, I show you how to make your own coconut milk and your own coconut cream really easily with your Thermomix. But I'm using tin today. So if you've always got a tin of coconut milk or cream in your pantry, you'll be able to make this and many, many other dishes. This is definitely an item for my capsule pantry that I just can't do without. Now next is we're going to pop in 230 grams of red lentils, and this is another absolute pantry staple. They don't go off, they last forever, and then really very inexpensive. There we go, not quite all of those. And then we want 350 grams of tomatoes cut up. Now this is a fresh ingredient that you may or may not have in your fridge, and it might be something that maybe the tomatoes are actually not in season, they're not very flavoursome, or they're quite expensive, so you don't have them on hand. You can easily use a tin of good tomatoes, either chopped tomatoes or whole ones, but I particularly love this brand. This, for those of you that are in Australia, this Mutti brand is available at most supermarkets, and they have really high quality tomatoes. And I love their cherry tomatoes that are tinned, and they're perfect in this dish. So instead of fresh, I'm just popping in a tin of cherry tomatoes. Okay, what's next? Oh, then with the lid, and we're going to cook that for 15 minutes on 100 degrees, just on a really slow speed. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, that step's done and it's almost finished. Next step is we're going to add 80 grams of lime juice. Now don't skimp on this step because the lime juice adds a massive flavour bomb to this dish. You can use lemon juice, of course, if limes are out of season and inexpensive, and you can also even use juices that are in the bottle if you don't have access to really fresh citrus like this. So I've juiced 3 limes here, 3 big ones. So 80 grams should be about 4 limes. But you know, they all vary in size. So that's 89 grams just there. So that's perfect. And that was 3 limes. Now this is the squeezed limes. Don't throw these out. Once I've finished cooking here, I'm going to throw these back into the Thermomix bowl with a litre of water, and I'm going to cook it for 10 minutes on Varoma temperature and then blend it for a minute on speed 10. And in doing so, I'm giving the bowl a really lovely clean, deodorizing the Thermomix in the bowl as well and into the lid, but it's also going to send a beautiful smell into my entire home. So don't discard these, will you? Now, the next step is to pop in some leaves only of 3 sprigs of coriander. So I'm going to pop those in as well. And don't discard the stalks of the coriander, because I like to save those for when I make my vegetable stock paste, or even for my curry paste that often asks for the stems and roots of coriander. So don't let that go to waste. Okay, next step, lid back on. And then we are going to cook for another 5 minutes on 100 degrees at a speed 1. All right, I'll be back soon. Okay, that's done. And the next step is just to serve it up. Let's have a look at our red lentil and tomato dal. While I was doing that cook, I added some sea salt. I love Olsen sea salt. I added a good pinch of that because, you know, lentils don't really have a flavour. They're not seasoned at all. So you do need to season this dish. So a good 4-finger pinch of that and a couple of grinds of black pepper will just finish that off. But by all means, taste it, see if it's seasoned to your liking and adjust it accordingly. So here we have the red lentil dahl. You can see, because I used whole cherry tomatoes in the tin, that they're still held their shape, so they'll be lovely to eat. Now you can top that off with a spoon of natural yogurt. Of course, if you're making your own yogurt, it's another thing we covered in the pantry and fridge staples class. Top it with yogurt, couple of sprigs of coriander, and you're done. Now that will feed a really good family of 4, but if you've got your family have big appetites, or you're feeding more people, just add a side of naan bread and that will really make this meal go a long way. Now I'm also going to be putting some aside in some containers today, because this dal freezes really well and reheats very well. So it's great for the batch cooking stash that I like to have in my freezer, because we all have those nights when we just can't cook. So look out for the in the booklet for this class. In there's a special code that you can use, so you can get the pantry and fridge staples online cooking class at a bit of a discount. So make sure you check that out. Okay, I'm going to do a quick clean up here and I'll be back with another 30-minute dish. Bye.